Hello, welcome to the next episode. Today I have got a few subjects to be covered, so let's start with the first one. Philosophy in the 20th century. Just as mathematics is the tool of science, so logic is the tool of philosophy. It's useful to have a glimpse of what goes on in logic and an acquaintance with some of the terms and concepts of logic. What follows is just such a sketch. Logic is a study of reasoning and argument and has three distinct branches. There's formal deductive logic, concerned with the study of valid forms of deductive reasoning. There's inductive logic, concerned with the kind of inquiry reasoning typical in ordinary life and some of the sciences. And there is informal logic, which is about the many kinds of reasoning employed in the debate in law and politics, indeed in the setting out and defending of these in any branch of discursive inquiry, and in the fallacies and rhetorical devices typical of such debate. In formal deductive logic, the concept of form and the very name implies essential. Formal deductive logic studies not individual arguments, but types of arguments, to see which type is so structured or formed that if the premises are true, the conclusion is guaranteed to be true also independently of subject matter. This is what valid means. It's a concept that applies only to the structure of arguments, not to their content. An argument is sound if in addition to having valid form, it also has true premises. That is, if both its content and its form stand up. Inductive arguments, by contrast, if there are good ones, only make the conclusion probable to some degree, that the degree of probability can be very low despite the argument appearing plausible, can be shown by an example of the simplest form of induction, in which a wholly general conclusion is inferred from a limited number of particular premises. And the example here is, this swan is white, that swan is white. The next swan is white. So, all swans are white. Some swans, in fact, are black. Some are even black and white. Inductive inference always goes beyond what the premises say, whereas deductive inferences contain no new information in the conclusion, which is simply rearrangement of the information in the premises. So consider this: all men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal. All that has happened is that their terms occurring in the argument have been redistributed to yield the conclusion, but although there might be no new information in the conclusion of a deductive argument, it can be nevertheless psychologically informative. This is shown by the story of the Duke and the Bishop. A famous bishop was a guest of honor at a country party hosted by a duke. At one point, the Duke left his guests to order something from his servants, and the bishop entertained the company by telling them that when long ago he was a newly ordained priest, the first person whose confession he heard was a multiple murderer of an especially violent kind. The Duke thereupon returned, clapped the bishop on the shoulder, and said, "The bishop and I are very old acquaintances. In fact, I was the first person whose confession he heard. The rest of the guests, evidently logicians to a man and a woman, hastily left." Next is, I got the last one for the the best one for the last one. The next is very pleasant subject, quite long, but I hope you enjoy it. Wild mountains, extreme survival in the majestic mountains. Okay, this is not a place of abundance, but of contrast, where life is both miracle and a constant struggle. Mountainous environments are among the most extreme habitats, with altitudes reaching to 8,000 meters, where survival becomes daily battles. In these icy colds, the temperatures dropping by 6.5 degrees Celsius for every 1,000 climbed. In these heights, the cold is a constant companion, seeping into every challenging the very essence of life, with animals like the yak climbing thick fur leathers to withstand temperatures that can plummet to minus 30 degrees Celsius. The air itself becomes thinner, leaving creatures to grasp for oxygen in an atmosphere that seems to withhold its life-giving properties, where oxygen levels can drop as low as 50% of what is found at sea levels. The simple act of breathing becomes a challenge. It's an environment stripped of comfort, where landscape offer little in the way of shelter. The lack of oxygen at higher altitudes also often means that animals must evolve unique philosophical adaptations. For instance, the snow leopard, a ghostly predator, has a large nasal cavity to warm the frigid air and incredibly efficient blood oxygen exchange system that allows it to thrive, where others would perish capable of surviving at altitudes up to 5,500 meters. Survival in mountainous environments is not only a battle against the cold, but also against each other. Food sources are limited, and the distances between them vast, sometimes requiring animals to travel up to 30 kilometers a day in search of substances, as seen with the Himalayan far. Adding to the challenges is unpredictable nature of mountainous weather. One moment the sun the sun might be casting a deceptive warmth over the landscape, and the next, a storm rolls in, wind speeds sometimes reaching up to 160 kilometers per hour, as recorded in Andes. These sudden changes in weather can catch dangerous situations like avalanches, which can reach up to 300,000 tons of snow. The mountain goat, with its short foot, might find itself trapped on a ledge by a sudden blizzard. Higher altitudes often lack the salt, the other minerals that are crucial for the goat health, forcing them to venture down into the valleys where such resources can be found, sometimes traveling 20 kilometers in a single trip. These journeys are, though, thought with a danger. Mountain goats become more vulnerable to bears and wolves. Whilst descending to find minerals is risky, staying in the mountains during heavy snow presents its own set of dangers, forcing them to dig through deep drifts to find sustenance. This effort consumes precious energy, just as more become exposed to predators. Heavy snow always creates opportunities for predators. who can track the weakened goats more easily through snow. For the mountain goats, surviving in the winter depends on their ability to navigate these treacherous conditions concerning energy-wise, avoiding watchful eyes of predators. The mountains become a relentless struggle against the elements with temperatures often plunging to -20 Celsius or even lower. For the animals, winter it's not just a season; it's a challenge that tests their resilience to their fullest. Wind chills can reach -40 Celsius or lower. And this is about avalanches, nature's unpredictable fury. As winter depends, the mountains accumulate vast amounts of snow, often creating a beautiful yet deadly mantle over the peaks and valleys. With the growing unpredictability of weather patterns, these snow masses can become unstable, leading to avalanches. One of the most destructive forces in mountainous environment, capable of moving at speeds up to 300 kilometers per hour and releasing the energy equivalent to a small earthquake. Avalanches are becoming larger and more frequent due to the shifting climate and the increasing occurrence of temperatures. Fluctuation causes layers of snow to melt and refreeze, creating weak spots which can trigger massive slides. The aftermath of an avalanche can be just as devastating. The landscape is altered with terrain buried under the tons of snow and debris. This means loss of food sources. The destruction also affects vegetation's altering ecosystem for years to come. Every day is a constant fight for survival, a battle against the elements that requires both physical endurance and instinctive adaptations. For predators like the snow leopard, winter brings its own set of challenges. These solitary hunters must cover vast territories in search of food, sometimes traveling 40 kilometers in a single day. The golden eagle reigns supreme with a wingspan of up to 2.3 meters, making them one of the largest and most powerful birds. One of the most remarkable survival strategies of a golden eagle is its mastery of air currents. The mountainous terrain creates updrafts, columns of rising air that these eagles expertly use to effortlessly across great distances with minimal energy and expedition along them to cover up to 200 square kilometers in a single day. In the shadow valleys and steep cliffs of the Himalayas and Central Asia, the snow leopard preys a ghostly figure perfectly adapted in the most unforgiving environment on Earth, with a population estimated at fewer than 7,000 individuals. Known as the ghost of the mountains, the snow leopard embodies essence of resilience, navigating the world where food is scarce, temperatures plunge far below freezing, and the terrain is treacherous. Snow leopards are built for the cold, where the temperatures may drop as low as -40 degrees Celsius. What truly sets leopards apart in their incredible resilience, even in the face of injury. The life in the mountains is is fraught with danger. Injuries can easily occur during hunts or territory disputes. These predators rely on their camouflage to blend into the rocky terrain. Once close enough, they launch powerful, precise attack, relying on the strong legs. Their diet consists of blue sheep, Ix, and other mountains. Snow mountains rely on small animals. The survival strategies are ingenious. Turned to the challenges of their surroundings, their resilience, good adaptability of these animals highlight the balance of life in mountainous environment. The golden eagle role as a top predator helps control population of smaller mammals, whilst the snow mountain leopard hunting ensures that population vegetation is overgrazed, maintaining the health of the alpine meadows. The mountains are a testament to the power of the adaptation and the resilience of life. Okay, so the last one is impossible engineering. The Shard, London, the glass skyscraper. So London is some of the world's most iconic buildings, dominating skyline, and in 2012 a modern marvel was constructed, attending the city's look forever. The Shard, at 1,016 feet tall, this futuristic skyscraper is the tallest in London. It's an audacious piece of architecture and some very impressive engineering, said Dr. Steele, physicist. The Shard rises up from the heart of downtown. This jaw-dropping tower is over 3 times the height of the Statue of Liberty. Its facade is made of a staggering 11,000 glass panels. That's enough glass to cover 130 basketball courts. Beneath the 196-foot spire lies the spine of the building. The colossal concrete core supports 72 levels. Just incredible. It's this audacious piece of architecture, a splinter of crystal bursting out of the earth and amongst the swarm center of London. All these buildings, the Shard just towers above all of them, said David Knight. And here's what the director of education, Royal Academy of Engineering, Dr. Rhys Morgan, said. Quote, in the 19th century, as cities like Liverpool grew even more dense and space for buildings became smaller, architects were faced with the real problem. They had to build upwards. By doing so, they had to build thicker and thicker walls to support the increasing weight of their structures. So they needed a new engineering solution. And in 1864, UK's architect Peter Alliss designed the structure which holds the key to modern skyscraper design. In 1864, it was a really radical idea, and Alliss was criticized by his contemporaries for creating architectural aberrations, but the developers saw the potential. And so what happened in March 2012? The final glass section is fitted, signifying a milestone for the Shard. This seemingly impossible architectural achievement took less than 4 years from breaking ground to grand opening. It's the result of brilliant planning, design, and testing by hundreds of engineers. Engineers have changed the face of skyscraper design forever. The creators of the show have succeeded in making the impossible possible. Thank you so much for listening to me, and hope to hear from me next time. Bye!